What's going on, sports fans? Ryan here with the DFS 5-pack here for our daily installment of the DFS 5-packs tip of the day. This is generally a spot where we just take a couple of minutes and talk about DFS theory, strategy, things like that, just some of the nuances that go into this very, very difficult game that we all want to kick butt at, but it is a tough game. It's a very tough game. So let's dive right into this bad boy. All right, guys. So first things first, before we get into actually, you guys know the drill. Any way you can to support the show is always greatly, greatly appreciated by both Matt and myself. It can be something as simple as if you're new to the station, hit that red button that says subscribe. The thumbs up, as Mr. Norris is telling you right there, is always really, really appreciated. That does help spread us around YouTube. If you guys want all the videos, the visual write-up that comes into it at the end of the day, we do baseball, basketball, football. Go sign up to be a member. And, of course, small dollar donations simply to help us keep ourselves in sweatpants and Miller Lite can be done through supporting us at patreon.com. And again, guys, the sales are up for 10 more days, MLB only or lifetime. We are raising the price on lifetime to $400 from $350, but we are running the sale for $325 right now. Pause this video if you want that information. So today's tip, this is something that you probably hear us say almost daily, and that is process over results. Trust the process. And let's actually scroll down to the second to last line where we talk about the fact that any one slate is more luck than skill. You guys hear me talk about poker a lot because I used to do it, during the poker craze. I did that for a living for a little while. And I like to make comparisons between the two. Just like any one card hand is a lot more about luck than it is skill. Obviously varying too on, what your odds are in that specific hand. So the reason this is we are trying to control not only what one other person is doing, but a lot of the other people that are, in the same game are doing that can affect what your personal pick is doing. So last night I was watching the Sacramento Kings host the San Antonio Spurs. Rookie phenom Marvin Bagley, who had a big game last night. Great call, Matt. He took a shot. Put a sick twist move on his defender, created about 3 to 4 feet of open space, got a real nice shot, perfect stroke, everything like that. But he hit the back of the rim and the ball just didn't go in. And the announcers did a really good job of talking about how sometimes you can miss, but it's not a bad shot. They're like, look at this move. It was a great move. His knees were bent. His shooting form was perfect, but he was off by about 2 inches. That's not a bad shot. But there are days where your dude might take 14 shots and he'll take 3 or 4 of those and it just won't go in. Some days they'll all go in, and there's going to be variance. And we know how much difference 5 points can make in like an NBA DFS game. Stuff like that's going to happen. That is stuff that you cannot control. Next, you can't control injuries. I've had a shit ton of them over the last month, and it sucks. I have lost more contests than I have won over the past month. I have had an injured person in probably 75 to 80% of my lineups. That's just bad luck. Guess what? Next month probably won't be that way. You're going to go through periods of ups and downs where you're going to have more injury issues. In basketball, they're very difficult to overcome, more so in my opinion than any other sport. Baseball, you can deal with it. There's also not as many injuries, probably because in baseball, there's also a lot of days where your guys get 0 and you can still win. Same thing goes with football. If you got a small money guy and a bunch of your other guys score touchdowns, you can deal with it. In basketball, if you get an injured guy, it is really tough. You're not going to do any damage in GPPs, and it's still tough to win in cash. You have no control over that. There's also a lot of days where you win because one of the other chalk guys got injured. So enjoy it when it's on your side. It sucks when it goes against you. You can't control foul trouble. Last week, what's the example I'm thinking of? My boy Giannis took on the Toronto Raptors. He had 3 bogus foul calls called on him. I even tweeted about how the NBA was probably a little bit annoyed that one of their top draws missed about 10 minutes in the second half because of the bad referee. You can't control that. He still had a decent DFS day, but with like 2/3 of the field, I think, using him that day, that it was, he might have had 15 extra points if he was in there. 15 extra points with 2/3 of the field on him is going to make a huge shift in what happens. So it's something that's out of your control. You cannot control bad refereeing and bad umping, which is kind of part of it that goes along with it. We got MLB DFS coming up. How many times, and I know a lot of you guys don't like to watch baseball as much as we do. I get it. I can understand how it's boring. That totally makes sense to me. But when your guy might come up and hit the ball hard 3 times and go out all time, and then the guy after that who you're not rostering, bloops in a double for 2 RBIs, and your guy hit the ball way harder, and you got 0 points, and that guy lucked into 9 points. That happens all the time. It feels pretty good, though, when your guy bloops in a double, doesn't it? This is here today, gone tomorrow. It is one day you get it, one day you don't. You can't control when you're running back. Let's say, for example, I rostered Sony Michel in the showdown on Sunday for the Super Bowl. There was a 2-yard touchdown run, the only touchdown of the game. I had him in the captain spot. Let's pretend that for a second the offensive lineman holds on that play. So now it goes from 1st and goal on the 2-yard line to 1st and goal on the 17-yard line. It's very unlikely Sony Michel is now running that in. That's not my fault. That's not Sony Michel's fault. It's just the offensive lineman held. Now it might go from Brady to Gronk. I had Brady, but I didn't have Gronk. So there's a lot of little things that go into, and that's why we talk about trusting the process and process over results. Any given day, the results are more luck than skill. Long-term, more skill than luck. When you lose 10 straight, you're not that bad. And, unless you're brand new, maybe you are that bad. Or when you win 10 straight, you're probably not that good. I referenced my NFL DFS results this year, worst NFL DFS year I've had. At one point, because the start of the year went pretty well, I want to say my record for cash games was like 35-5 over a 40-week span, which is, epically great. Guess what? I had some really good luck going. For the next 10 weeks or so after that, I lost more games over a 10-week period than I did over the previous 40. A lot of the good luck I was having was evening out, which is just a big part of this game, and it's frustrating. I know there's not only for DFS, but also for way back in the day playing poker. When you win every day for 2 or 3 weeks straight, or almost every single day, you feel like you've figured something out and you've beaten the game. And the odds are you probably just had a nice run of good luck. You probably did a good job. Don't get me wrong. You weren't sucking. You obviously played well. But a lot of times just, the dice are shaking in your favor. The ball is bouncing in your direction. Anytime you go on a big win streak, a lot of things are working in your favor, and it's going to even out long term. No matter what some of the best DFS players out there would say or do, nobody wins 90% of the time. It just doesn't happen. There's too much luck that you cannot control. Referencing the referees and the injuries and the foul trouble, you have no control over things like that, and they're a part of every single sports game that is out there. So if you're in the midst of a bad losing streak, just remember things will turn around. If you've been playing this game for 3 or 4 years, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. I've had plenty of bad losing streaks, and then I start doubting myself, and I'm thinking, what do I have to do differently? Next thing I know, 2 weeks later, I've won 9 of 10. I didn't do anything differently. It just feels like when everything's going against you that it's never going to come out. And when you're winning constantly, you feel like it's something that you're done. That is the human condition. I read a study about they gave people an uneven amount of money in the game of Monopoly. And by the end of the game, the people who started out with a lot more money ultimately won the game by a lot. But they started thinking it was because of something that they did. No, that's not the case. A lot of times there is a lot of luck and a lot of good fortune that goes into things when you're doing well. And when you're doing poorly, a lot of things are going against you. Now, if you play well and you make better decisions, you can be better than the curve, but you're not winning 90% of the time. And if you've been good at this game before, you're not losing 90% of the time. So it's tough. It's an emotional game when you have money involved. But at the end of the day, there's a lot that goes into it you can't control. So don't judge things based on one day. People have often asked me, do we do free trials for a day? And I just say, not really. If you want to peek at one right up, we got a sample up there. But, what's the point of evaluating us on one day? If we kill it and you sign up to be a member, guess what? We're not going to kill it every single night. If we do terrible that night, we're not going to be terrible every single night. There's just a lot that goes into any given slate. All right, y'all, that's my soapbox for the day. We will be out with our regular scheduled DFS information very shortly. Have a good day, and thanks for watching.